take care of your account managers, especially if you're an agency where you have one or two. So I would just encourage you, really work on making their life easier. Put yourself in their shoes. It's their job's super important, and having a really good one will make or break kind of your ability to grow and grow fast.
Hello, and welcome to the Max Revenue Show. I'm your host, Trey Shields, also known as the Mediocre Producer, along with the Zen Master of Commercial Insurance himself, Micah Salas. Micah, how are you today?
I am good. Full of peace, love, and joy.
Oh, God. We're going to do a little listener Q&A today. Before we get into that, big shout out to our sponsor here at the Max Revenue Show, InsuranceXDATE.com. Shout out to Rob and the boys over there. We use it every day. It is a vital part of both of our process, and it basically works like this. You go to your state or states, plural, that you prospect in. You do a little search query by SIC code or maybe industry or whatever, and then it will then tell you, populate a list of all the risks in your area that they have data on and their X dates, renewal dates. They have some vehicle info on some of them. They have stuff for employee benefits. They have class codes, contact information, phone numbers, email. It's a pretty good deal. And if you're like Micah or like me in some cases when I'm actually doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and you prospect out 150 to 180 days in advance, and you really work off of renewal dates and use that as kind of like the benchmark for your outbound, then can't recommend them enough. Go check them out. InsuranceXDATE.com. Tell them that Trey and Micah sent you.
That was quite the... Hey, Insurance XDATE, if you're listening to this episode, pay us double. If we have any listeners left, I don't know after that one. But in all seriousness, this is a great segue, actually, because I think we're going to do some Q&A, but also I started doing some drop-ins a little bit more frequently the last couple of weeks. And Insurance XDATE, if you're doing drop-in planning, one, you can download an app, which is pretty cool. So if you're on the road and you're going to drop in and you just kind of want to look up a business quick, it's right there, which is awesome. But they also have a feature on there that allows you, after you search, to toggle between a list and then also a list view and a map view. So it's pretty cool. If you're going to do drops in an area, you just, you can look up that account and then pull, and you see all the little kind of dots come up around it. You can just hover over them, click on them. So from a drop-in standpoint, it's super helpful in planning drops too.
Team InsuranceXDATE.com, baby. Big fans. All right, let's hop into it. Let's do a little listener Q&A. Can we start with my question first?
Sure, go ahead.
All right, let's do this. What is that quote about the first shall be last and the last shall be first or something like that?
I've heard it, but I suck at repeating quotes. So,
all right, this is from our boy CB. Shout out to CB. This is a little bit late on this. I told him we would do this on the next podcast. A little late. His first name rhymes with shark. Hey, I got a question for you. When you're doing due diligence, do you and Micah basically have an idea of what rates your markets can offer before looking at a policy? So after looking at a prospect's program, you can boldly say, I know I can save you X percent with Y carrier. And if that's the case, does that just come with time? I'm trying to niche, but also trying to validate and working as somewhat of a generalist, which makes it hard to know what exactly the markets can offer to the different risks I'm speaking with. I would love to know whether or not an account is worth pursuing based on my market's rates, but don't have the experience yet. Sorry for the novel.
Good question.
Yeah, so I guess let's start off by dissecting the first third of that. When you're doing due diligence, do you have an idea of what rates your markets can offer before looking at a policy?
It doesn't, you don't need to know beforehand. Just get the policies, right? And then look at the rates. But you should be okay, so I can quickly tell you if an excavator in Texas, is paying kind of what everyone else is or exorbitantly high. Just because I do a lot of site work guys, civil construction companies. So I kind of know, but I still have to go and look almost every time because I don't know to the dollar all the time until I go verify. So then the question is, how do you get that data to verify with, right? Or to cross-reference the rates that you see in a policy to know if they're good or bad or average. One is, as you're prospecting, this would be a great idea, is every time you get policies, this is another reason to get policies. It's even if on a deal where you think it's kind of a dead deal, hey, do the due diligence if you can, at least you get data out of it. So get those policies, create a folder, create folders in your inbox or your computer by industry. You could do civil construction, you could do fire suppression, you could do restaurants, whatever. And now, every time you get a prospect, you put those policies in that folder. And so you can go back and reference, at least you have something to reference from if you don't have a lot. So that's what I would do. And then if you have clients, of course, that's a great database. When I was at my prior agency, a lot of times I was a bigger agency. And so I had access to like our AMS system, and I would just go look up other clients that I knew we insured, or I'd talk to other agencies in my office or agents in my office. I'd be like, hey, Bob, man, I got this fire suppression guy I'm looking at. I think you insure one of those, right? Oh yeah. What's their name? Okay. And so I just ask 2 or 3, and all you need is a sample size of like 2 besides the guy you're looking at, right? So if you can compare them to 2 others, that's perfect. 3, I think I like 3 to 4, a sample size of like 3 to 4. But if you got at least 2, that's helpful. And that should do the job. So yeah, I mean, you should know, like when you're calling a prospect, here's the other thing. Even if you're not niched down, I've started doing this a lot lately where I'm like, okay, I'm calling this prospect right now. Like, do I know anything about this company? Like, have I had any wins here or this industry? Have I had any wins in this industry? Do my markets, are they hot in this industry? There should be some reason you're calling a prospect in the back of your mind. Not saying you got to share that with the prospect, and so I've started, like, I realized, I've been here 4 years, so I have some follow-up tasks I have in my Insurance XDATE deal, and they'll pop up, and I'm like, why am I calling an ambulance company? I'm like, yeah, maybe I could get a meeting there, but then where does it go from there? I mean, sure, you could, we're all going to have deals where you just kind of, you get in there, you get the meeting, you do your due diligence, they're pissed off at their agents, and then it's in some industry you've never helped before, but that's kind of rare. So that was kind of a long-winded answer, but I think that's how I handle that. I don't know if you have anything to add, but.
Number one, if you don't have loss runs, you don't know if those rates are necessarily in line or not based off of their loss runs. So I would say, at least for me anyways, I use it as a reference, not as a hard line. And then to dovetail into his second question, so after looking at a prospect's program, can you boldly say, I know I can save you X% with Y carrier? I haven't just straight out said that, but I've hinted at it. And for me, at least, more times than not, it came back to bite me in the ass. So I was working this tow deal in Florida a couple of months ago, and I was looking at his rates, and I'm like, this is insane. I was like, I know I can beat this. And I told him, I was like, listen, if I can't beat this, I'd be really surprised. And I didn't beat it. So
what happened? So what happened in that situation where you didn't beat it? Because I've not had that experience, honestly, where when I say that, I'm pretty confident, and it's actually almost borne out every time. Like, I haven't had a time where I have egg in my face, I guess, so to speak. So what happened?
Well, number one, I haven't worked a ton in Florida, so I don't have a great benchmark for tow there. And 2, I have a bad habit of getting out over my skis. I get a deal in the door, I get excited, and I wouldn't say that I overpromise, but I would say I get my hopes up instead of being, what would you say, conservatively, I can't even think of the word.
Cautiously optimistic.
Cautiously optimistic. There you go. So it's just on me. I mean, I've said it and it's worked too. Yeah. But it's like, for me, at least moving forward, I'm just going to keep my mouth shut and just say, or maybe something like, hey, listen, they look out of whack. I'm going to tell you that. But then again, I also haven't seen your loss runs, and I haven't made any calls behind the scenes yet. So who knows? Let's just see. I think it's worth exploring. I think that'll kind of be the angle I take moving forward. Yeah.
And so for me, it's worked out pretty well. Now, I only focus on the rate aspect if it's like a major out of whack kind of thing, right? It's a major pain point. And sometimes it's just one line. I'm just like, hey, this one line of business. But then I always here's the thing, I'm always adding disclosures, right? Like, was meeting with a guy the other day, and his equipment rate is probably, just say, 30% higher than what I typically see for a contractor his size. All the other rates were pretty good. So I had the caveat on there. I said, hey, your equipment rate's really high. I would press back. If I was you, I'd press back on your agent if you stay with them on that rate. But then I said, sometimes these carriers are a little bit funky where, like, if you look at each line by line, that rate could look high, but they're just trying to go to a total number. So it's kind of tough to say, right? So I'm always adding caveats like that in there. And the other thing is, when I think I can really save someone money, I do say it pretty confidently, but I'll show them the table and be like, hey, to me, your GL rate is way out of whack. It's not just my opinion. Here's 2 other rates that are showing that. Now, I haven't seen your loss history yet, and so this is a good time where I'd bring that up in the conversation, right? If I haven't already kind of asked about it in my due diligence meeting, but it's like, you said you had no losses, right? No, yeah, we haven't had any. Well, yeah, then this is like, there's something going on here. I don't know what it is. Now, just saying stuff like that, you're starting to create a little bit of doubt. So I think if you come back and then ask for the AOR at the end, you can set yourself up really nice for it. The thing is, you're never promising, of course, you're going to get to a certain price. You're just showing them, and I'll say this like 2-3 times again. It's like recap. I'm like, again, I'm not saying I can get you here, but I do put hypothetical pricing. I'm like, my goal, if I'm hired, so this is what I kind of do to kind of put a bow on all this. I'll say at the end of the proposal, I'll be like, hey, if we're hired, and I'll have a little section like, here's what I think you should be paying in insurance. You're paying 150. I think you should be about 120. I'm not guaranteeing we should get you there because I don't know your losses, but based on the data I showed you, my other clients and my experience and what I've talked with underwriters about, this is where I think you should be. That's all I say. I never promise anything. And then it's onto the buyer to decide if they want to hire you or not based on that and everything else you talk about, right? That's not the only thing that we're hitting on there.
Got it. All right, let's go to kind of the second half. He says, I'm trying to niche, but also trying to validate and working as somewhat of a generalist, which makes it hard to know what exactly market different rates are and all these different industries. I'd love to know whether or not an account is worth pursuing based on my market rates, but don't have the experience yet.
The chicken or the egg.
Yeah, I think number one, if you're in an E&S market, I think that's where your wholesale broker comes in to really help you out. You don't have to have a lot of this data if you have a really good wholesale broker. I don't do a lot of standard market stuff, but I would imagine that they'll do the same for you, right? They give you an idea of what's out of whack, what's in line, and I don't know, that you're in much more of a standard market.
Yeah, no, I relied on wholesalers a lot. Probably a third of my deals are E&S, being here in Texas, and especially when I was over in Houston. So yeah, find a good wholesale broker to rely on. Even a couple good underwriters in the standard market with some of your better carriers as an agency, right? Like I know some agencies want you to go through marketing, but I encourage you to get their phone numbers and just call them on a couple of deals, and like you start to build some rapport with them, and then they'll start to respond to you quicker, and you'll have a better idea for how things look. I mean, every time I get policies with my main couple underwriters I put business with, I'll be like, hey guys, I'm looking at this drywall contractor. Here's what they're paying, and I just lit like 5 sentences. Here's what they're paying by line. No losses. Is that something you can compete on? And I'll do that before my final presentation a lot of times, but the hard part with this guy, so I get the conundrum is like, hey, I'm trying to validate, so I got to write everything possible because you don't want to walk away from deals because you're trying to validate. But I would say by taking that approach of trying to go in all directions, you're probably hindering yourself, even though it seems more logical. It's like, right, it's like, hey, I want to shoot a shotgun, and that way I can get everything out there versus a sniper. But I think if you hone in on an industry, it'll help you speed up that process. It seems counterintuitive at first. And I'm not saying as you're trying to validate, especially, but at any point in your career that you have to walk away from an industry just because you get a referral, or maybe you do a drop in on something, you thought it was one industry, it turns out it's another, and it ends up being a great fit. Like, I'm not saying to walk away from those opportunities. No, I don't think anyone that says niche is saying that, but I think those should be more of the exception rather than like the norm, like where you're just kind of just going after everything. All I can say is what helped me a lot is, I came from Federated Insurance. We were a direct writer. We probably did like 10 different industries, but our contractors were one of them. And so when I went to the big agency for the first time, my first couple of months, I kind of felt like I was floundering a little bit, right? Like I'm like, they're telling me to do this, like, hey, find 25 prospects a week, call them, do this. And hey, maybe you should go after oil and gas. We have no producers are going after that. And like, there was just so many different things, like your head swirling. And eventually I just had to get to this point where it's like, okay, what do I know well? Contractors. Our agency is really strong in contractors. We have the right markets for contractors. Okay, I'm just doing all in on construction, right? And even when I started out in construction, I don't call any GCs, developers, like any of that stuff. The GCs I would do would be like land, land guys or civil contractors, like those kind, but not like the GCs who are building buildings. I honestly, even though I consider construction my niche, there's certain industries within construction that I don't even call on because I'm like, I don't really know that too well. And so, yeah, I would just encourage you to focus in on a broader niche, but at least a niche, like whether it's manufacturing or food manufacturing or hospitals or restaurants, whatever it is, just pick one to start and at least spend 80% of your time there. And then if you still want to kind of dabble in other stuff, go for it.
I think that's pretty good. What's your question there, partner?
We'll call this guy Phil. Hey, Micah, we chatted a while back. I'm an agent with just over a $400,000 in revenue book. going through the normal growing pains of a producer. Hey, first of all, I'd say congratulations, Phil. I think many producers at agencies of all sizes, that he's at just under $5 million agency, to give you some perspective. Particular smaller ones like his want to know what to expect from the service team. I keep hearing that you've played golf. How? Your book is double my size. And then he says, I'm busy, semicolon, helping with audits, setting customers on auto pay, getting involved with claims adjusters, filling out renewal subs, finding a new home for a new yacht a client just bought, reviewing new exclusions a carrier put on, marking accounts with large increases, cold calling, cold emailing, taking customer calls about a work comp injury. The list goes on. And then he says, we have CSRs, but not account managers. What's the difference? I can't be the only one who wants to know how you handle it all. Asking for a friend on my way to play 18. Thanks. All right. Thanks, Phil. Okay. So here's one of the things I would add. Well, first of all, I hadn't played golf from October all the way until May 12th. So I went like 6.5 months without playing golf. So I'm not playing golf as much as Trey or as much as you probably think, but I try to get out now. I'd say hopefully every 2 to 3 weeks, once every 2 to 3 weeks. So let's just set the record straight. I'm not golfing all the time. However, I will be the first to admit that this job would suck and I would probably not enjoy it as much if I didn't have an account manager. So first of all, if you're a producer listening, take care of your account managers, especially if you're an agency where you have one or just one or two. That's awesome. I used to have like 14, and it's tough to build super strong relationships and kind of reward all of them for their hard work. When you have that many. The cool part here is I literally have one on all my accounts over 5K in revenue. So that's awesome. So I would just encourage you, really work on making their life easier. Put yourself in their shoes. I see a lot of older producers just crap all over account managers or kind of look down on them, or, you know what I mean? Just the kind of the way they talk to them. It's like their job's super important, and having a really good one will make or break kind of your ability to grow and grow fast, because your clients will leave you if your account managers suck. I mean, that's just as simple as it gets. Okay, here's the thing. He has a lot on Phil on your list here, helping with audits, setting customers. I'd say about half the things you mentioned there, I do, right? I help out clients with audits if they call. Like, hey, I need help on an audit. I'll dive in on it. I fill out renewal supplemental apps all the time, every client. I do that. Reviewing exclusions a carrier put on. Now account manager, we get the quotes in, but I ask for the quotes. I ask for the proposals before I present, and it has all of them. And I go through the exclusions myself to make sure I understand what I'm presenting. Remarketing accounts. Now I don't do that. So that's a big one. That's a big time suck. I have someone to do that for me. Cold calling, cold emailing, of course. I'm doing all that stuff. So I would just say I'm pretty involved with my clients, actually. One of the reasons I really like the no networking approach that I have, I'm pretty much sitting at my desk making cold calls and honestly fielding and client emails at the same time. Now, a lot of them are going to my account manager, but sometimes issues pop up. Like you mentioned, hey, we had a claim. I take the call, right? But I'm sitting here. I have time to handle it all. I don't feel overwhelmed by that kind of stuff. Now, when it comes to actually, I take the call and then I might send my account manager a quick message. Hey, Rebecca, can you do this, please? Blah, blah, blah. Just talk to them. This is what needs to happen. Great. But I would think a CSR, I technically have an account manager, and that's the second part I'll get to, but what's the difference between a CSR and account manager? But if you have someone helping you, you should be fine. Now, a CSR account manager, the main thing, if they can do the busy work for me is like a billing question, stuff I don't want, billing question, certs, of course, vehicle ads, like that kind of stuff I don't really touch, right? And in my opinion, a CSR can do all that, same as an account manager. The difference, I think an account manager is a little bit higher level, where let's say on the renewals, they do they're really good at remarketing and reviewing all the forms for you. And they're like, hey, Micah, checked everything out. There's 2 exclusions that worry me. What are your thoughts? That's more of a skill of an account manager. I wouldn't expect like a CSR, or some places call them an analyst or whatever, to necessarily do that kind of stuff. But man, you can build $1 million book with just a CSR, in my opinion. Again,
I think his question is about time. There's obviously a discrepancy there. I'd be interested. Now, I'm not $1 million producer yet. Frankly, I'm not even close. So it's really not in my jurisdiction, but I would be interested to know what his average account size is and how many clients he has. Because to me, That's kind of the first thing that jumps out to me.
Yeah, because if you're at 400 in revenue and you're drowning, that's a sign that you probably have a ton of small accounts, right? I mean, is that what you he must have, I would think, 60 accounts. I don't know.
Bro, I don't know.
because I don't feel drowning most. There is days or weeks where I do feel like, man, I'm just like, I can't even prospect, right? That does happen. But I mean, I really only have 35 clients. So I don't know what that number is. Even at Marsh, I think I never got over like 40, 45. So it's like, I think the biggest thing is to decide what tasks you want to delegate and what ones you don't, right? And kind of have that distinction in your head. And if it's something you don't want to delegate, make sure your CSR can handle it. They're good at it. Just have a conversation with them. And maybe that frees up some time. You know, like to me personally, if he's remarketing accounts with large increases, that's, you know, he's at a super small agency. That is a time suck. So
how many clients do you have?
Oh, dude, I don't know. 30 to 5-ish, maybe 30, 35. I have like 5 or 6 in there though that I don't touch. They're in small business and they send me an email once a year. So I probably 30, like legit. Maybe 27. I think it's 27, actually 28, somewhere in that range. I don't know. I should probably look at that again. I got to add more.
I think a lot of people would probably be surprised to hear that 40 is like your magic number, or was it your number at Marsh to be over $1 million? And then
if you write 40 accounts, average size 20 of revenue, that's $800,000 book.
Yeah.
It's not.
Well, I mean, remember, I think everything's relative. I think a lot of people listen and they're like 20,000 in revenue. That's insane. And so it's different.
Yeah. Well, that's so to answer Phil's, it's all related, right? Like he's drowning. How do you free up time? The thing is, you can't. I've talked to guys who have a 1.5 trying to get to a $2 million book, or a 2 trying to get to 2.5. It's pretty much a consensus. You need to start writing bigger accounts or have a really good service team underneath you, like maybe 2 account managers and one person's kind of taking on like an AE type role. Like there comes that breaking point.
We've talked about this in the past. It's not necessarily a dollar amount. It's more like a client number amount, right? And I have not gotten to that capacity. Watching you and then just watching other producers, $1, $2, $3, $4 million books. It seems like it's kind of like in that 40 to 50 range, maybe a little more. Once you get to 40 or 50, and then you have to bring on another AE or CSR. But it's like you can only have so many. You have to have a CSR for every 40 to 60 accounts. And then once you get to a certain level where you're overseeing a certain amount, say 100, you just have to go upstream and get bigger revenue and just cull the little ones, keep the big ones, like a fishing tournament.
Yeah. And I think,
would you say those are fair numbers?
That seems about right in my experience and what talking with other people. The industry matters a lot too. I mean, dude, if you have accounts that are no service heavy lifting, if it's all like, I don't know, just a barber shop or something, and they don't have certs they got to send out and they're whatever, that is going to make your life a little bit easier. So there's just so many different factors, but yeah, I don't get, if you're feeling over stressed and busy, my guess is you got to get bigger, start going upstream, especially if like this guy, Phil, he's at a $400,000 book. I'd say he's probably, let's just say he's at a smaller agency. So I'm hoping he's getting 50% or 40%, on renewals. Let's just say 50 for easy math. So he's getting $200,000 a year. So now he's kind of at that point where now you do maybe get a little bit more selective and you make it, we talked about this before, raise the floor, right? Used to be 5,000, 3,000, whatever. Now maybe he goes up to 10 to 15. And it's going to feel weird at first because he's working on a whole lot less deals. You're passing up on opportunities. You're not really calling things that you drive by. You're like, oh, and you're like, nah, it's not really worth it. And so it's going to feel weird to do that, but it's probably the best thing for you.
All right. Give me another question. Or not me. Give them another question. Give us another question.
Yeah, I just have a couple of comments. Just people talking about like, hey, I'm cold calling too. It's been working for me. Keep it up. I've got like 5 of those, which is cool. So keep cold calling. But on that topic, I started drop-ins, doing a little bit more drop-ins, as I alluded to in the intro to this, about 2 weeks ago, kind of making a concerted effort to 1 to 2 days a week, get out there and drop in at 7 to 10 businesses. And the motivation behind that was a guy that I'm working with that I've mentioned in a previous, I think we did a special on him or a letter on him, 3 months ago?
Newbie writes $450K in year 1.
Yeah. So a little update on that guy. We were talking the other day. He's now at $660K after 17 months. Guy's just killing it. And I was like, I talked to him, like, anything different? Like, nope. Dropping in, saying hello, explaining how the insurance game works, which we teach. You kind of get in there, you show them the market chaos using multiple brokers. Here's my deal. Here's what I do. There's a different way to buy insurance. Let me look at your policies and I'll come back and I'll kind of tell you you can decide who you want to hire, basically. And the guy's like, sure. So that's what he does. And he's killing it. Just does his 10 to 12 drops a day, I don't know if he's even doing 5 days a week, probably 3 to 4. It's wild, but he's making it happen. And so I've been dropping in now. It's interesting, man. Like the first day I did one of the first days I did 10 drops and I had 4 conversations, which is awesome. One, I got a quote, a guy takes out his whole insurance proposal. I'm pissed at my agent. We start talking. We let him talking for 20 minutes. And now I'm like looking at, it's midterm. He's 6 months in, paying about 77 grand, 80 grand, somewhere in that range. So it's decent, right? But it was just I just saw it on my way to one of the drops I had planned. I swung in. One of the guys like, oh yeah, I got to talk to Aaron. Go back here, go back there, talk to him. I was like, yeah, sit down, man. We just start chatting. And the meeting right before that, pop in at this business. It's a bigger company, probably 300 in premium. Been calling forever. I talked to one of the owners once on a cell phone, never got anywhere. Popped in, asked for this lady. The lady who's there is like, no, but she's like, I'm the CFO. And she's like, we start talking. She's like, we ended up talking for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Basically tells me, we're pretty happy with our P&C, but we're unhappy with EV. And then get a meeting for my employee benefits guy, and it's probably 25 in revenue. So that was literally 2 meetings one day. And then the other, I just had a lot of other good drops, right? And then this week, it was interesting. A guy called back after drops I did the very first day out of nowhere. I get a call. He's like, hey, you left that book and then you left a voicemail last week. And I just wanted to reach out to you. You said something about they do things differently. And I'm like, yeah. And so we just chatted on the phone for like 10 minutes and we're going to be meeting in 2 weeks. I don't know what will become of it. That's one of the keys. If you are doing drop-ins, here's a couple keys. Be organized before you go, because I hate driving to a building that's closed down or it's someone's house and it's not, no one's even there. Like that's the worst, because as you're driving, every stop is, let's just call it 20 minutes, right? Dedicated to at least. So map out your day, your 7 to 10 drops, map them all out, find the most efficient route, look them up ahead of time, take just a couple notes, like who do you think is the decision maker, pack your little, what you want to hand off or drop off, or just going with cards, whatever. And then the second piece is just the follow-up. And make sure you're calling them a day or two after, sending an email. Hey, did you get my book? Or whatever. That's what I think is key to the drops. If you just drop and then don't follow up, I don't think it's going to do much. But I think they're higher propensity to pick up your phone to respond to your email if you leave something. The other thing I would say is when you get there and you go introduce yourself, it's nothing fancy. It's just like, hey, just wanted to stop by and introduce myself. I specialize and work with construction companies, have for 14 years. I know you got an agent you work with. No expectations, but I just wanted to say hi and see if you'd ever be open to maybe having a conversation. And people are receptive to that.
Yeah, I told you in a previous life, I used to be a territory rep, and I loved being in the car. I love windshield time, just cruising, listen to my podcasts, making calling clients or whatever, listening to music, this, that, and the other. It is definitely probably better for your mental health than just sitting in an office and making cold calls. When I'm in the office making calls, I'll make calls for like an hour, and then I get up and go walk for a little bit, get some sunshine, and I'll come back in, make some calls, and then get up and go walk. I might start incorporating some more windshield time. I like the idea of that.
Yeah, it's been fun. I've enjoyed it. It's just a good change of pace, and I think it's been fairly effective. The first, probably done a total of 4 days now in the last 3 weeks, where before that I probably had done I was doing maybe 1 day of drops every, let's call it 4 months. So it was basically all phone, which has worked great for me, obviously. So it's one of those things where the phone has worked excellent, but always looking to improve and mix things up.
All right, we're now going to go on to a golf herpes segment. You went and played some golf last week. Tell us about it. How'd you do?
Oh, it was just a 9-hole goat track, as you say, par 30. So it was like 3 par 4s and 6 par 3s. Yeah. So it was good. I shot a 34. Game was solid. It was fun. Walked, but yeah, it was fun. Actually, I've come to appreciate playing 9 holes. Like I used to be so, I think, addicted to golf where it's like I couldn't stop at 9, but now I'm kind of like, actually not bad. I don't mind playing 9.
Yeah, 9's, I like 9, especially in the middle of the summer. It's hotter than hell over here. Good Lord.
Yeah.
I don't see how the guys do it over here, honestly. Some of the guys I play with, I mean, I'm talking about like 12 deep on the brewski side, plus, Florida water. And
jeez.
It's just, dude, I don't need a 2-day recovery session after I play a round of golf. Some of these guys get after it at 100-degree heat, 100% humidity. Dude, I can't operate like that.
Yeah. No, it's what about you? Are you playing anytime soon?
Nothing on the horizon. Just I got quite a few 7-1s, and like June's renewals and also a few at bats I'm trying to squeeze out here. So I'm just busy. I don't have anything. Actually, the two guys in my office went and played today, and I innate the ombre.
Wow, good for you. Good
Yeah,
for you.
trying to be reasonable.
Are you feeling good about your 7-1 or what?
One of them, no.
It's June 20th right now, so.
I'm aware. We're just waiting on the excess to get wrapped up.
Okay.
But yeah, one of them is already a no. One of them I feel pretty good about. So we'll see.
Monster?
20?
Oh, there you go, dude. Was it a tow truck?
Yeah, but no. My competition might be listening.
Oh, so if you said the industry, it's going to give it away.
No, because it's just an artisan contractor.
Oh, okay.
Let's say they are a larger HVAC contractor.
Dude, there you go.
In the South Louisiana.
In the bayou.
Yeah. All right, man. I guess that's about it. Link to the playbook in the show notes. Link to Insurance XDATE in the show notes. And link to our weekly newsletter in the show notes. And we'll just keep on doing the deal. And the half dozen of you that keep showing every week, we appreciate you being here. It's a good time. I enjoy it. Even if all 6 of you went away and never came back.
Oh, man. How pathetic we are.
Yeah. No. All right. Well, let's end it for the week. Also, apologies for the last podcast or YouTube video, whatever it was. Like, apparently our sound cut out halfway in. I don't know what the hell happened there. But, sorry about that. But, we're a low-tech production here. So what you see is what you get. It's just 2 idiots using, what do we even use? What is this?
Google Meet.
Google Meet and 2 headsets. So that's it. And we do pay a guy to edit it. We do that. But that's where Insurance XDATE comes here. It's literally a wash. Insurance XDATE sponsors us enough to basically pay for a guy to edit our podcast. So I can promise you, we are not getting wealthy from this. We do it because we genuinely, you're a PLU, you're people like us, and we genuinely want to help. So, all right, with that, we'll bid you adieu. Appreciate you listening, and we'll catch you next week.